Today we have a really fun summoning build. Now this build isn't exactly a summoner like you're used to with a wizard or a sorcerer. This build uses the ranger to create a summoning build where we get a full team to become a one-man army. So without further ado, this is the one-man army build. For this build, we are going to go mostly into Ranger, and then we're going to go a little bit into Rogue later on, and that is our only multi-classing. But for this build, we are going to start out from the beginning. With our background, we are going into the guide background. Now, the guide background allows us to put our stat bonuses into Dexterity, Constitution, or Wisdom, the three most important stats for us. For this build, using point buy, I think I'm going to go equally Dex, Con, and Wisdom, and then dump all of the other ones. The origin feat that this gives us is Magic Initiate Druid. Now with Magic Initiate Druid, I want to first pick up Shillelagh. Shillelagh is great. It allows us to turn a club or a quarterstaff into a wisdom-based weapon that deals scaling damage. Great cantrip for us. This is the main one we're going to be using. The second cantrip I want to pick up is Starry Wisp. This is a new cantrip for the 2024 rules, but it's just a good ranged spell attack. I think it fits the build well and just gives us a good range option using our wisdom. As for our level spell, I'm looking at maybe Cure Wounds or Healing Word. I think those are really good spells that are going to be in those first few levels. As for our species, I think that there's a lot of species we can do this build with. The main thing is we don't want a species that is going to take up our bonus action or our action, as we already have other things that are assigned to those. So I'm looking at something like Human to pick up the Tough Feat for more HP, Stone, Frost, or Fire Goliath, which just gives us some extra control damage or damage reduction depending on which one you do. I think between those, I don't really have a strong favorite, but for simplicity on this build, we're just going to assume that we went Human picking up the Tough Feat. Level 1, we are going to go into Ranger, and the only real thing to call out for this build is that we are going to be using medium armor. As for our weapons, we are going to be dual wielding, and we are going to dual wield one scimitar and one club. The scimitar and the club are also the two weapons we're going to be picking up with our weapon mastery. Now the club gives us the slow weapon mastery property, which allows us when we hit an enemy, their movement speed is reduced. Great. The scimitar has the nick property, meaning when we make dual wielding attacks with it, we can make the extra attack that's usually a bonus action as a part of the same attack action, saves us some great action economy, gets us up to really high damage right away. Now when we use these in conjunction, we can Shillelagh on our club, allowing us to get good damage using our wisdom modifier, and then we can use our extra nick attack on the scimitar to still get off another attack. Level 1, we have 2 attacks. Great start, especially when we consider that we get favorite enemy. Now this lets us cast Hunter's Mark for free a couple times a day. This just means our attacks that were doing a d6 are now doing 2d6. And with Shillelagh scaling and with the amount of attacks we're doing, we are going to do a ton of damage. For our spell casting that we get on top of favorite enemy, I think Hunter's Mark is still a really good option. I also think Ensnaring Strike is a good one to look at, though I think for our concentration worth, Hunter's Mark is typically going to be better, though Ensnaring Strike can be better in niche situations. At level 2, we pick up Deft Explorer. This expertise can really go anywhere. I'm just going to put it into Perception because Perception is one of the best skills. At this level, we are also going to pick up the 2 weapon fighting style. This allows us to just do a little bit more damage and make our damage more consistent with that second attack. At level 3, we begin being a one-man army as we pick up the Beast Master Ranger subclass. This gives us our Primal Companion, and we are mainly going to use the Primal Companion of the Land. This allows us to attempt to knock enemies over nearly every turn as our Primal Companion gets its charge attack, and it just does good damage. The Primal Companion of the Land is a great choice, and that's the one we're going to go with here. This is great for us, especially because we are a hyper offensive ranger, that we can use our melee attacks and get advantage on them because our Primal Companion can knock them over. This is also great because the Primal Companion of the Land is pretty chonky, which gives us a good meat shield just out on the field. It means us, with our Tough Feat and our D10 hit die, and our Primal Companion of the Land can just soak up a ton of damage for our team. At level 4, we pick up either an ASI or a feat. I am leaning toward ASI, either bumping our dexterity or our wisdom. I personally would probably go with our wisdom, as this influences both our Shillelagh club attacks as well as our Primal Companions attacks, though dexterity is also good for our scimitar attacks, and it will continue to scale later on as we go. As for potential feats, I think the one I would be looking at is Medium Armor Master to give us a bump to our AC, or taking something like Speedy to give us more battlefield maneuverability, as we are a melee build and we want to be right up next to our enemies. All in all, I think a ASI in Wisdom is probably the way we're going to go. At level 5, we pick up extra attack, especially good for this build because we can give up one of our attacks that might be a little lower quality and give it to our Primal Companion, allowing our Primal Companion to make an extra attack, which their attacks are pretty good. So this is a trade-off situation, but I think overall it's a good trade in a lot of situations. At level 5 is also where our Shillelagh spell scales from a D8 to a D10, making our club attacks that much better. At 5th level, we also pick up second level spells, and the main one I am looking at is Summon Beast. Summon Beast is where we double up on our summoning playstyle and we just have an extra kind of mini Primal Companion running around. I'm also going to do the Summon Beast of the Land variety, and this is going to also give that beast pack tactics when it's next to us or our primal beast of the land. And because both of us are going to be staying kind of in a pack, this gives pack tactics a lot of advantage, and it makes pack tactics a great feature for the summoned beast land variety. So at level 5, we have a ton of damage output between us, our primal companion of the land, and our summoned land beast. We are doing a ton of damage across the board, but also tanking. At level 6, this is where we are going to dip into rogue. At rogue level 1, we pick up expertises, which I am probably going to put into stealth or insight or sleight of hand, whatever skills we find most useful. I'm also looking at animal handling. As our summons right now are animals, I think that is actually a pretty in flavor skill for this build, but I think anything will realistically work. For our weapon masteries, I might put it into a ranged weapon to give us a little more versatility there, so then we're not only using our cantrip, but I don't think it's super necessary, but it's better than nothing. At this level, we also pick up sneak attack, and what I love about sneak attack in this build is it doubles up with our companions. By our companions knocking people prone, and also by our companions just being within 5 feet of people, we can almost guaranteed get sneak attack off using our scimitar against enemies that we're next to, upping the damage of our scimitar attack really well. So on our turn, we can use our first attack with our club to get Shillelagh, which is a bigger damage. Then we can give up our second attack to allow our primal companion of the land to attempt to knock over this enemy and deal some good damage. Then we can get advantage on our next attack with our scimitar attack if they fall prone, or we still get sneak attack if they stayed up using our scimitar attack as a part of the same attack action because of the nick property. And then we can use our bonus action to command our primal beast of the land to attack again. And then after that, we can still have our summoned beast attack. So all in all, that's a ton of attacks going off in one turn, which makes our damage output very consistent and just a ton of damage output overall. Level 7, we also go into rogue. We get cunning action. I think that this is good, but not great, as our bonus action is often filled up with our primal companion, but still nice to have. And at level 8, or our rogue level 3, we pick up the Arcane Trickster. Now, the Arcane Trickster is really great for us, and I think the main reason is we pick up Find Familiar, giving us another summon. Now, this Find Familiar is not as good in combat as the others. However, we can get something like an owl with flyby, which if it flies next to our enemies, we can proc a sneak attack. But on top of this, we also have access to the entirety of the wizard spell list, and this is really great. Even though it uses our intelligence modifier, which we dumped, we still can do a lot with these spells. The ones I'm looking at, you get Mage Hand, you get something like Message for utility, and you get something like Minor Illusion, which kind of fits our summoning vibe and gives us a little bit more utility outside of combat. On the first level spells, I'm looking at Shield, and then of course Find Familiar, or something like Fog Cloud is always great. I also like thinking about taking Unseen Servant for another summon outside of combat. Having the Primal Land Companion, the Summoned Beast, and the Find Familiar means we should almost always assuredly be getting our sneak attack off each turn by doing these strategies and always having somebody that's near our enemies. This is a great strategy for just really consistent sneak attacks. And this does even better at our next big Beastmaster Ranger level, which is our character level 10 or Ranger level 7. This gives us exceptional training. Now, exceptional training allows our primal companion to bypass bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage resistances, and also on the turns that we command it, so basically every turn, it can take the dash, disengage, help, or dodge actions as its bonus action. Now, I really like dash for potentially proccing its charge attack twice on 2 different creatures. Dodge is great when it has nothing else to do, and help is actually great for 1, proccing our sneak attack, but 2, just helping our other allies to do their thing better. I think overall this is a great feature and makes the Beastmaster really versatile in what it can do with its primal companion. Overall, a lot of damage from us, a lot of damage from our summons, and a lot of tanking on both sides, a lot of HP on the battlefield, making this what I call the one-man army build. I love this build. I think it's a great one. Tell us what you think down in the comments down below. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.